Hello and welcome back. I say back because I've been on vacation for a couple of weeks. It's nice to be building some UiPath again, and thanks a lot to you for joining. Two news: we got Discord partnered. That's why I wear this hoodie today. If you want to join, then it's a community for RPA developers. We are more than 3,600 helping each other. The link is here in the description. Let's start by today's case. All questions and comments are very welcome in the chat. So I'll be sharing my desktop as always, and then I'll start building. Just ask away. I will not take every question at the minute, but I'll try to sum up at different points in the video, and then I'll answer you. So the case today is that you can find this description in the video link as well. But we need to download the course files, so I'll do that first. That will get me to my OneDrive folder, and I'll download this Excel sheet. Let me place that Excel sheet on my desktop, and then I'll open it. And meanwhile, in the chat, A. Sullivan is here, and let me know if you other people are here. Let me know where you're joining from. It's always nice to not feel alone and just not feel like I'm talking to myself. Anyway, so here is today's case. We have 30 entries, or actually it's only 29 I can see. Then that is numbers. These are Danish VAT numbers, but that could be literally any number you want to look up on the web. We want to look each one of these numbers up, and then we want to fill in the corresponding info. I'll show you where you can find the info in just a few seconds. We will use the UiPath Excel activities that is from the Modern Design Experience. These ones came from Studio X actually. I like them. You can automate Excel in literally two ways. You can do these modern activities, or you can do the data table activities. So which one are best? I don't know. I use the data table activities when I want to get very specific, when I want to do a lot of specific things. And if I want to do less code and just quick automation, then I'll use these activities that we're going to see today. So I'll recommend that you master both the data tables and the Excel activities that we're going to see today. Anyway, so we'll get started. So these numbers, those ones are going to be looked up on a web page. Let me go back to the process description I made here. So we are reading the Excel sheet. We're iterating through each one of these rows, and then we'll do a lookup. This one is in the Danish VAT CVR, that is VAT in Denmark. We'll do a lookup here. And you can see this is in Danish. I really want it to be in English so we can all understand it. So the first thing our robot needs to do is to click this English here. And then we can search a VAT number. So for example, let's just copy paste the first VAT number here. And then I'll go back here and I'll paste it in. And then I will search here. Let me just accept the cookies, that's fine. So these are the entries that we want to save. We want to get the name, that is this title here. Then we want the address, the postal code, and you can see here that is all together. So we'll do a bit of data manipulation, and then we'll have the business type. We'll also, that is the easy path, that is scraping the data. But we will also be manually creating some errors in our data set so we can handle errors properly. I'll say that will probably be the most important part of this lesson. So make sure you stick to the error handling. That will teach you a lot if you don't know already. I'll grab a sip of coffee. What are you drinking out there? And then I'll look at the chat and we'll start building in very few seconds. MD Hidayat, thanks for always supporting me. He sent money for coffee, or I'm not sure what SGG, what that currency is, but thanks a lot, MD. You really didn't have to. I'm really happy that you just here, always happy. And if you enjoy the video, to all you other people, I'll be really happy if you gave the video a thumbs up. Yaswan says, hello, can you do this below process? Yaswan, I will not do it today, but I will look at it, or you can post it at the Discord, and the link is in the description below. M says, hi Andres, glad to see you. Hi M, I'm always glad to see you as well. Please add exception handling part also. I will. That will be after we do these data scraping steps and the use of the Excel modern activities. And MD is from Singapore. Nice to know that, MD. I think you actually told me that once earlier. So sorry for not remembering. Anyway, we're going to scrape the data. And yes, we are doing error handling. But first, let's take one step at a time. That's always key so we don't confuse ourselves. So we will just be navigating to this web page. And if it's not in English, then we'll make sure that we click in English. So the default one is in Danish. That will look like this, but we'll need to do a check. So one step at a time. First of all, we will do an Excel process scope. And let me open up UiPath. We'll create a new process. So under new project process, we can call it something. Let's call it modern Excel scrape. You can call it whatever you want. And if you ones of you always ask me, should I choose VB or C#? Those ones are both languages from the .NET framework. And if you go in the programming world, C# is definitely the most popular one. But in UiPath, always go with Visual Basic VB if you're not having a reason not to, because all support, all documentation, all videos like this will be in VB, so you will have a better way to, or you'll have an easier way to get support. So I'll just click create, and we'll have our first process. And we are creating our workspace here. So let us maximize the canvas and open the main workflow. Let's start by reading the Excel sheet with the use of the modern Excel activities. So we're used to do the data table activities, but now we'll see how to do it with the Excel activities. So I'll find an Excel process scope and I'll drag that in here. So this one is just a process scope, and one key property that I like to show you is that make sure you click on this Excel process scope and it's blue. If you go over to properties, if it looks like this, just click this little tool, properties, because I don't want Excel to be open. When I run this automation, I really want it to run in the background. There's no need for me to see the data gets filled in. So in the show Excel window, I can see I have a same as project. I can either define it here in this sequence here where I'll say false. That will make sure Excel will not open, or I can do it on project level. To do it on project level, I just go over to project here, click this little icon like this, go to Excel modern, click Excel visibility, and here you can see show Excel window false, because now we defined it on project level, and we can just have it, this property, we'll just have it, we'll be leaving it here. So if we're using this process scope multiple times, we have just defined it once on the project level. That's it. So now we will define our Excel file. I'll be having mine here. Let me just close it again. So I'll be having mine on my desktop. This Excel file could move, and I'll literally not keep Excel sheet on my desktop. It's just for this purpose. But in the development phase, I might want to. So I'll create a variable for this, so I can point that variable to match the value where the Excel sheet is currently. Let me show you. A good trick is to press Shift on your keyboard, right-click with your mouse, then you can see this copy as path. You'll need to hold Shift in and then right-click to have this copy as path in your right-click menu. So then I just click here. I move back to UiPath. And here you can actually, let me just do this. So here I'll go down to variables, and then I'll create a variable for that Excel path. So I'll say str Excel path. That will be of the type string, that's fine. And in the default, I'll just paste in Control V, I'll just paste in the value. So this one is the value of my Excel sheet. Let me close down the variables again, because now I can use that variable when I want to open up the Excel file. So instead of the Excel process scope, I'll have the use Excel file here and drag it in. So here I need to provide a workbook path. That one will be the str Excel path. So I can just have it here. I can just start typing. This is IntelliSense, that is auto completion. If yours doesn't show up, just press Control space and it will show up. So for example, if it looks like this, then just press Control space and you'll have it. Now you can tab the result you want, or you can get help. So I can just press tab and we have our path. So that is fine. Let me just do this. And we will reference this Excel file as Excel. That is fine. I don't really want to create it if it not exists. I mean, there's no point in creating a blank Excel sheet. If it doesn't exist, then we will have some error on the data level. So I'll just be unticking this create if not exist. Now we can start working, because I'll need to go to a browser at first, and then I'll need to open up this. Let me go to the front page, this page. And remember, this is in Danish, but we want it in English so we can all understand. And because we are going to match the values from this website to our Excel sheet. So let me show you. So I'll first find an use application browser. Use application browser here, and then I'll drag it into the do. So the first thing we'll do is to indicate the application we want to automate. So click here and choose the browser here. So, and if you have this page open, you can see that this will navigate to the browser URL. Let me know if we have some questions here. I'll be happy to answer it. It doesn't look like that. I'll just be continuing. So now here, I will start renaming my activities. That's always a good practice. I can either right click and rename or press F2 as I did here. So here I'll just say use browser. Maybe I can say Chrome, and then I can say CVR lookups. That is VAT again in Danish. Then it will be a little bit more easy to look at. So this one will just open up a browser and navigate here. So now I can start iterating through each one of my rows in my Excel sheet and do the searches as we did before. So that will be the first part of this exercise, that we want to search for a number here in this search field. And then we can start saving it afterwards. So one step at a time. To iterate through Excel activities in the modern design experience, that is the new Excel activities, then we'll have it for each Excel row. And now the clever part comes in, or the easy part. You will see how why it is smarter. We'll use less code. So take the for each Excel row here and drag it into the do, like this. So here we will say navigate to each one of these rows. We can reference them. Per default, they are referenced current row. I like to reference things to understand them a little bit better, especially if I come back later, say in a couple of months. Then I really want to know what's going on just by looking at the code, or here at the code, predefined code blocks. Emil says, hi from Sweden, just subscribe. Thank you, Emil, and nice to have you here. And nice that you are active in the chat. That helps me a lot as well. Oh, I drink a lot of coffee. Yeah, that's quite addictive. So here, instead of for each current row, I'll say for each company. And again, this is just a reference. It doesn't mean anything. You don't have to write a certain thing. Just choose a name that will suit your data well. And because each one of our Excel rows, those ones are companies, I call it company. Now we can take in which range do we want to look in. We can either manually write an expression or do the clever thing. Press the plus here, take the Excel, and then we can start indicating in Excel. So, or I can take the custom input. So if I just do this, yes, I will do this, and then I'll need to make a template file, or I can start, let me just do this, or I can just start by saying, what do I want to write? So here I want to look at a sheet, and to be honest, sometimes this one then the smart comes in. Now we have to write a little bit manually. Sometimes it actually does it automatically. If you can spot this little thing, then just let me know. So I want to look in a sheet. I want to look in the company's sheet. So then I want to say companies like this, and then I can click save. So this one opens up the Excel sheet called companies. And let me just show you where that is. Here, that one is called companies. So now we can open up the company's sheet. And let me go back to UiPath. So our Excel sheet, does that have headers? Yes, it does. It has the CVR, it has a name, it has the address, and all these. Those ones are headers. So I can just pick that one here. One good thing is that, imagine that we're doing a search. Now I'm just picking up a random number because I can't remember these numbers. Let me say that this was a search and we got a result. Then we can move to another page. So before each search, I want to be sure that I navigate to this. Let me go back to this front page. We also need to fix the English part. We will do that in a little while. So first, let us just fix that we want to navigate here. So we are using a go to URL, and we'll just pick this this URL up here. And this is the same URL as we're having here. So I'm just copying it. I could use a variable here as well. Then I go down here to the for each Excel row. Again, we're doing this to navigate to the front page. Ivan says, hello, Anders. Hello, Ivan. So I'll find a go to URL, and then I'll have it in here. So now I'll have the URL. I'll paste that one in. That will just be the standard. Again, you could use a variable. You could argue for that because we used it twice, but this one is quite static, so that will work as well. So now we know that we are on the front page. It's not an issue in the first run because we are on the front page, but from the second one and fourth, we cannot be sure that we are on the front page. So here, then we'll need to do the lookup. That is typing in a number. That one, let me just copy this one here. So we're going to type a number in here, and then we'll click enter or click this search button. So we'll find a type into, and as some of you have already requested, we're doing error handling later in this session. That one will come, so make sure you stick to the end. So here I'll find a type into. Now I can do my search. I'll need to indicate why do I want to type this thing in. So I'll just say indicate in Chrome here and pick that one here. And if we look at the selector, that seems quite static. It's a form input type text and blah, blah, blah. It's green, so that will probably work. Andrew says, after a gap, Boss is back. Hello, Andrew. Panda, I really love your support and all your help on the Discord. So here we will have the type into. Again, this one looks quite messy. If I wanted to maintain this solution, it's hard to read. So I could either press F2 or, let me just show the other way, right click and then click rename. So I'll say type into, and then I can say CVR search field like this. So what do I want to type in? Well, I want to type in whatever is in the current row. And remember, I renamed that to company from current row. It doesn't mean anything practical. It's just that I need to reference to company instead of current row. So if I go down here, I can see I can either make custom input or I can start picking here. So, and to be honest, sometimes these ones shows up. Sometimes you need to close this Excel sheet to make them show up, and sometimes they really don't. So we just go with the custom input. This is the way it is. If you have a tip for these. I know for a fact that if the Excel sheet is open, then they will not show, they will just start loading and these things. So we'll just learning the expressions. Those ones are handy. You will go with them a lot of times. So here I need to reference to the company up here. So I can go in here. Let me enable the intelligence because then I'm very lazy. So I can just say company. Then I'll say dot, and then I can say by field. That is the column header. So I'll say by field this. And our column header was called CVR. That is the number that we are going to search for, like this. And then we will have a toString. Because this is an Excel object, we need to convert that to a string. So I'll just start writing toString like this. And here we don't do the enter click, but let's just see if this works. And so here we are on the Danish. We need to fix that we are going English in a few seconds. But for now, it's fine. We'll just see that this actually works. So I'll try to start our automation and see that we can just type things in. And if we cannot, we will fix that. So now we're just typing in these things. You can see that that looks fine. We can iterate through the values and type in these things. We're doing nothing, we're just doing searches, and we're not even pressing enter, so we will also do that. But let us just fix whether or not we are on the language page. So we'll have a check app state. Let me just do this, and let me explain you the intuition in this. So I really want to know if I'm in the English section, then I'm in the right section, because that is where I want to do my lookups. If I'm in the Danish section or in the color suite, that is green language, then I want to click the English. But a good practice is to, if we are here, then we do nothing, we just proceed. And if we're not here, then we will do something, because then we'll minimize runtime. We'll make sure that we just proceed immediately if we are in the right session. So make sure that we look for this English here. And if we're here, do nothing else. That means we are either here or here. That is when it's blue, then we'll click it. So we'll use a check app state. And that is just to check whether or not this field is here. So first of all, we will do that in the start of the do, because this will not change. Our selection will be remembered. So right in start of the do, we'll have a check app state. And when this starts, it checks for something, and then it will have two branches, if the element appears or if the element doesn't appear. So I'll put in the check app state. Here I need to say, what do I want to check? And let me just be sure that I want to check if this is clicked. So if this is black, then I want to have it here. And let me just show you quickly. I'll open up the UI Explorer here, and the UI Explorer can just be used to inspect UI elements, and I want to show you the strategy here. And Ivan says I look like Dexter. I haven't watched Dexter, but I believe I'm not sure it's a compliment. Wasn't he a serial killer or something? I haven't seen it, Ivan, so help me a little bit here. Indicate the element, and here I want to say, is this present? Is this black and it's not blue? So I'll click here. Now you can see that I can validate it. It's present, definitely. But what happens if I'm here? Is it present still? So I go to the UI Explorer, and here you can see it's not present. So this one looks fine. I can use this selected to check if it's clicked or not. So that was just to show you a little bit. And we'll go back here. So we'll indicate this. Let me move this a bit. We'll find the English again. So we're asking, is this English black? That is how it is. It looks. It is green, so it's a stable selector. So I'll just click confirm here. So we're checking if this is English. Then we do nothing. We just that is when the target appears. Then we can just proceed. This has the advantage that if usually we are in English, we can just look here and then we can proceed. We could place it inside for each row to check it each time. That will be a good approach if for some reason this setting it changes from time to time, else it doesn't need to do anything. Anyway, if we can't find it, then usually it's just because we are in Danish or in Greenland, that will be the first run. That will look like this. Then we just need to click it. So we will find a click activity when it doesn't appear. So here, I'll say click. And we will have that click here, and the target does not appear. So what do I need to click? Well, I just need to click this English here. That's it. That is the English button. That looks fine. And I click confirm. So this is just a check that we do just to make sure that we are in the English section. So this is a good practice to do to make sure that we are in the right place. So now we can start our iteration. And again, I could, let me just have this check app state. I could move it down here. Then it will check in each one of these rows. And now the clever part came, because we are usually, when we have picked English once, we are in the English session, then it will just check and immediately move to the next. If we have turned it around, then we will have to wait the default wait seconds, that is 5 seconds, and then we would proceed. And yes, Andrew, I'm drinking coffee. Thanks for mentioning. What are you drinking? So now we can go on. So now we are in the English session. We are looking these up. And what I want to do here is that I want to add an enter click so I can do these searches. We will just, then we will have completed the first part of this exercise. To do the Excel searches, I'll find the send key and then I'll have an enter click. So here we are just searching and then we're clicking enter. And we also, if we are in the Danish part, which will be the default, and we'll do this check before each search to make sure that we are in the English section, because these UI elements, they are probably named differently, whether or not we are in the Danish or in the English. So let's try to run our automation. Let's debug if something doesn't show up. Now it looks like this. Now you can see that the site is a bit lazy now here, but now we're doing these searches. We're doing the VAT number searches, and you can see we're checking whether or not we are in, you cannot see it, but we're checking whether or not we are in the English session before each run. I will just stop the automation. Now we have completed the first part. Well done if you're building out there. Else you can just watch this video afterwards. Let me just stop it here. So that was the first part. We can now do these searches. Now let me go back here and let me just have a result. I'll just move one back in the browser. This one is the result. So I want to dynamically scrape these data, and then I want to have them written back to Excel with the modern Excel activities. Let me know if you have any questions in the chat, then we'll take them. So the way we'll do that is just to have a simple get text and then just take the name first. So again, we go to UiPath and then we will find a get text. So we will have a get text down here because now we are on the right place. We could actually do a check here to check that we are indeed on this page and not on the front page. And then we could, for example, look for this CVR number thing or postal code and city, because we'll know we are in a result before we start scraping. But let's wait a bit with that, or you can do it yourself. So now I need to scrape the title. So I'll say indicate in Chrome, and I'll just find a title by moving the mouse around. You can see these things turn green. I want this title. That is the name of the company. So I'll just left click with the mouse, and we have a selector here. So this one, the tag is H1. That is the main title. That looks fine. It looks really, really static. And I'll just click confirm. So now we are getting the text that will be the name of the company. So I can just say company name like this, and then we can save it to a variable. We will just be creating a variable for that. So in here, I'll say Control K, and then I will start typing in a name. This one will create a variable when you press Control K. So I'll say str, and then I'll say name like this. And then I can click enter. And when I click up here, this little arrow disappears. We have now saved it into str name. Now, I really want to write it back to the corresponding name cell of the current row. So here we are just doing the exact same thing. We are referencing this cell by saying company by field and then have the name to string. But we'll do it in the modern Excel activity called write cell. So make sure you pick the one under Excel and not the one on the workbook. So I'll drag in the right cell just afterwards. What do I want to write? Well, I just scrape the name, so that one is easy. So I'll say str name. And down here in range, if our data doesn't show up, then it's probably just easiest way to learn how to write it, and it will be similarly. So we start by saying, what do we reference to? Well, we are referencing to the current row. We call that company up here. So I'll just say company. Let me have the intelligence on, control space. We'll do a lot of repetitions. I'll say the same thing a couple of times during each of these live sessions in the videos. And in that way, I'll make sure that you will remembering, because you might not remembering if I only said it once. So the important parts I'm often repeating. So if you're thinking I'm not remembering what I said, there's a purpose for that. So then I'll say company like this, and then I'll have the by field again. That will be referencing to the column header. And I actually forgot what, we'll have the by field, and then we will have the column header. But I actually forgot the column header, no problem. I can just open up the Excel sheet here. That was called name. So I will just be having in the name here. So I will say we will just write the str name into the name. And then Alfred Brad says, can we hide the part where the browser is manipulated by UiPath? I mean, for some specific websites, we can get banned. How can we avoid these things to happen? Thanks a lot, Alfred, for joining. That's definitely a concern. Usually when we automate, we do it on company pages, and therefore we have a legal issue. And UiPath is actually behaving like a human would do. So unless you just bombard it with 1 billion requests, then it would be no problem. I have automated all sorts of web pages. I have never got banned. Not to say that I cannot promise you won't get you will not get banned, but it's usually not an issue. But then we'll have to, if we really wanted to be concerned about this, which could be an issue, then we will have to have techniques that could hide our IP. I will say I've never experimented with that, so I cannot help you if you, for example, want to scrape, do a lot of requests on a certain website. Then I really don't know. But you're more than welcome to ask on the Discord. That link is in the description below. There will definitely be people helping you with this specific issue. So I'm sorry, Alfred, I cannot get further with this, but it's usually 99.9% of the times no problem. I have never experienced a problem by that. Anyway, so we are now writing back to here. Shouldn't we see if we can actually now we're just iterating through each one of these and writing in the name. So let's see if this actually works. Just pick a few spots. And now for some reason, we are opening on my other screen. I'll quickly move it over here. So we will be doing a couple once. Now let me just stop it because that's fine. Let us open up the company's sheet, and here you can see that we have actually written in the names, so that part works. Well, And oh, what happened here? I just moved here. So we can now search for each one of these VATs, that is CVR, and we can actually scrape the name and write it back into our Excel sheet. So that's fine. We'll do the same thing with the address, and then I will show you that's one of the difficult parts, that is the postal code and city. We'll also do that. And the start date and business type, that is completely up to you. I showed you the technique. You will just do the same thing as I just did, and then we are finished. But we're going to have the address as well. And again, I'll just delete this, so I'll make sure that, so I can see that it actually works over and over. So if I go back here, so now I will just do the exact same things as I did with the company name. I will be getting the address, and let me just have this one up here. So, and let me just do a lookup just so I have some data to work with. I not got it like it. Okay. So I'll just do a lookup, and then I will need the address. That one is this one here. So similarly, we just do the complete same things. We'll use a get text. I can find that one in recent, or I can search for it if for some reason you came back and it's not there. By the way, let me know, my wife fixed this basement, this studio, this basement office. The sound should be a lot better. The acoustics, she placed acoustic plates on all over this office, or she found a person who did it. Let me know if you can spot the difference and you think it looks sounds better. Anyways, we are going to pick the address. So that one will be this one, this address. And now you can see it turns red. That means we have created an unstable selector. When it's red, we should usually do something to make it more stable, to make it green. And that could be either tuning the selector, or the easy part will be to choose an anchor. You can see here, these ones, if I move the mouse around, I can choose an anchor. An anchor is used when we want to identify a certain part where the selector is not that stable. So, and one great anchor, because we know that this target is always next to the address. So I can just choose that as an anchor. If I click here, you'll see that this turns green. We now have a stable selector because of the anchor. Then I click confirm. So now we get the address. We will be saving it just as we did with the str name. So I'll just be pressing Control K to create a variable down here in the save tool. Then I'll say str, and let me just spell it right, str address, and then I'll click enter. We'll have this error here, but if I click up here, it will disappear. Similarly, I'll just be writing this cell, and we could, because we are lazy, that's our job to automate things. And A. Sullivan says the sound is great. Thanks a lot. But if I just copy this activity, I go down here and paste it in. So then and I could drag in another new activity, but I'm lazy. So I'll just say str, and I'll have the address. And here I will be saying, I'm not going to write in the name column now. I'm going to write in the address column. So let me just do this like this. So we did it, just copy pasted it and changed the value and this header. So now we're having the address. I'm not going to run it once more. Let us just assume that it works, and we will see that in a few seconds. Because now one of the different parts is that when I scrape this postal code and city, we will get a result that looks like this. So that is the postal code and the city name here. And we will do a bit of string manipulation. It's a much overlooked topic. I cannot recommend enough to learn string manipulation. So let's see how that is done here. So we're scraping the result called 2100 Copenhagen East, And the way, let me save here. What I like to do when I develop is having call it a test sequence. So if I go up in the left corner, click new, then click sequence. I like to have this test one here just to play around when I'm not 100% sure how I would develop that to test the things that I want to see. I'll have this simple test flow and do these things here. Just remember, when you move it to production, just make sure you delete it. And you can always find it here in the project test. So I can just right click delete. That is important. Otherwise, you're just creating a sequence with no meaning. So what I want to do here is that I just want to show you how I would do the string manipulation, and then we can just apply it to a more general use. So I'll drag in the get text, and then I'll say, oh, and we need to use application browser. Sorry for that. I'll just move it in here. And then we will say, I want to just drag it from here. That is a very specific part. And then I can drag in this postal code and city. And again, we need an anchor. So just to repeat, we will just take the postal code and city. Then we always know that this postal code and city title is always next to, the postal code and city. So then I'll click confirm. And I'll just try to save it. So again, str postal code city. So what I'm doing here is just to show you a bit of string manipulation. So I'll drag in a right line and just write the result out. This one will only be for this occurrence. I'll just be running the flow here. And if I go to output, I can see that we have it here, the nice postal code, and we also have this city. So what we're taking advantage here is that the Danish postal code is always having four decimals, what's called four numbers, and then a space, and then the city will come. So what we'll do here is that I will just, to get the postal code, I'll use the .NET method substring. So I'll just say dot, and then I'll say substring, and I'll say parentheses. Here we can see we have two overloads, and we have one where we just need to specify the start index. So that one will say, where do I want to look in this string here? And then I will be getting the result back. But I also want to say, I want to make it stop. So what I don't need to point to these arrows, but I'm just going to show you. Sorry, here. Let me just do this like this, and then we'll do this. So if I move with the arrows, I can see that I can also have the second one, that in here I can define the length. So you don't have to do it. You just know it there. It's a guide. So you don't have to specify. You can just start writing. So what I want to say, I need a start index. That one will be 0. In programming, the first occurrence is always 0 because it's 0 indexed. Then I'll have a comma, and now I can use the start index. Sorry, a length. And here I'll say 4 because my my postal code always have 4 numbers. So this one will just be by simply being able to manipulate a string, I can now get out the postal code. So that one is a nice method to know. Similarly, to get the city out, let me just copy this right line here and paste it in. Again, I'll just need to say, now I can, and if I go up here to text, I can make it a little bit. Now I just need to say, I want to look from the 6th position, 5th position actually. And then I will just start getting that text out. I'll just get the rest of the text because that is the city. So what I'll do here is that I'll just say 5, and then I'll say okay. Let me try to run the automation and see that I can actually separate the postal code and the city. So go to output. Here you can see we have now separated the output with the city. Let me just take a short break, and while I do that, I want to mention my Instagram, where you can find a little bit of background, my everyday developer life. It's not that technical. It's just what I do here in my basement, how I go on in my day. So just to get a little bit behind the scene, you can navigate to my Instagram and follow me there. Usually it's stories, but sometimes it's also a post as well. So enough of that, let's be building once more. We now have these two things, we can use them in our main. So again, we use the test just to play a little bit around to see that we're able to actually do string manipulation. Again, we will just use a get text. So I'll drag that one in. What do I want to extract? Well, we wanted to extract this postal code and city. So I'll be hovering my mouse over and then it turns green. I just click here. Again, when the selector turns red, something needs to be done. It's unstable. Either we could fix it over here in the UI Explorer and tuning our selector. We will not do that per default. If we can find an anchor, that is usually the best way to do it because, yeah, it's easy. We don't have to do a lot of work and it's very, very stable because we'll know that this postal code and city is always here. So now I click, it turns green. I can just click confirm. So here we can see get text, postal code and city. Again, I'll be creating a variable for that. So Control K, str, postal code, city, like this, and then I'll click enter. So now we have saved it. We are going to apply the .NET method substring to this str postal code city to get out the postal code and the city. So what we will be doing here is that we'll have two write cells. I'll just be dragging them in. They will be empty, so they will have an arrow at first. And now we can say, what do I want to fill in? Well, so I say str postal code city. And then we can actually just copy paste it from our test, or we can just practice once more. Please do that. So you'll just learn it a bit more and do. Oh, sorry, I'm on the streaming software. So here, and I'll say substring, and to get the postal code out, we start by index 0, and then I want 4 numbers, and I'll do this. So where do I want to write? Well, we're just going to write. We're going to copy this, or we can write it again. Now I'm lazy, so I'll say company by field. So company refer to the current row. We named that company. Then we'll say by field. That will be the header. And then I'll say, where do I want to write it? I want to write it in the thing called postal code here in the Excel sheet. So if I go back here, and I'll delete the address, and then I'll say postal code. I could also copy paste from the Excel. That one will make sure that I will not make any mistakes. So this is the way it looks. And we could copy this one up here, or we can just practice it once more. So now I'm using this string that I scraped here. So I say str postal code city, and to get the city out, we'll just be starting by index 5. That is after the postal code. So I will be doing this. Sorry, I'll have to, of course, do the substring. So I like these live sessions. You can see me make errors and handle them on the fly. So far, I haven't had an error that I couldn't fix here in these live sessions, but that day will come. And it will be painful, but yeah, that's just the way it is. Sometimes I can actually, when I develop more complicated robots, I can have a robot which I cannot fix in the first hour or something. I'll just be sitting and shaking my head, and usually it's just some small setting that I just need to change, and then it will all work. That's completely normal. Don't get stressed about that, even if you are having your first RPA developer job. Completely natural. Don't stress about that. Everyone will know that you make mistakes. That is a part of developing. You just need to be, you'll learn, you'll get better at fixing them. Anyway, so we are having the start index. That will be index 5. So where do I want to write to? Let me just say company by field, and then I'll say, I think it's what's called city. Let's just see here. Yeah, it's called city. So now we are actually, if this works, we haven't tried it, but I will try it in a few seconds. If this works, we can get the name, we can get the address, postal code, and city. As I said, I really want you to do the start date and business type yourself. It will be the same logic as we did with name and address. So just go ahead and do that after the session. So I also want to update the log column. We could do error handling with a try catch, and that will sometimes often be a great way to handle errors. If you want to see the complete try catch video, I created that. You can just find the link that is in the description of this video. That will take you to the try catch. We will just be using some check app states here to handle errors, but yeah, you can use the try catch. That will not be the topic for this one because we already did it earlier. So just find that video if you want to do it like that. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just, it depends on the needs of your business. So I know if I come down to the end, I can write a log message because then I know it's successful. It hasn't crashed. So if I go here, I'll just have another write cell that will write the log part here. So I have a write cell. What do I want to write? Now I will just hard code in a value. So I'll just say successful. Is this the way you spell successful? I'm always having trouble with English when it's double consonants. So I really hope someone a little bit better in English, maybe it's with a single S, A. Sullivan or some native English speaker, please help me here. It's not important. I mean, it's just to get better in English. I should take an English course actually to make these videos a little bit better. Anyway, so I'm writing successful. And again, I'll just update the log part here. So I will say control space, I'll say company. Then I will say by field. That one will be the column header. Parentheses, quotation marks, and I'll say log. So that one will be writing successful in the log. I know because I created this data set, these ones are all working. We will be creating errors in our data, business exceptions, where the company doesn't exist, where multiple companies comes out. So make sure you stick because we will do error handling in a little while. First, let us just see if everything works here. That is all the successful one. Then we can take the error handling. So I will just be doing this. Then I'll run the robot. I'll do a few searches. And again, it comes on the other screen. So I'll just drag it in here. I'll just do 4 or 5 and then I'll stop the robot. No need to run it all over. We can do that in the end of the video to see if we accomplished our mission. Let's stop it by the next search. That is it. I'll just be stopping the UiPath robot. Now let's inspect the data. See that so far so good. We are good here. And you can see that we now get, let me maximize it if you can see it better. We now, for each one of these CVRs, we now have the name, the address. We also have the postal code and city nicely separated. That was with the .NET method substring. And we have our log message. This one, we stopped the robot, so it only got the address and the name. That's fine. Our robot works so far. It will work for the rest of this data. But what happens if we are not on the correct page, for example, or if we have errors in our data set? So let's create 3 different errors and let our robot handle that. I really want you to stick now because this is very, very important to be able to handle exceptions. Because what happens when the business side of your company, if those ones send you incorrect data or data that is expired or something, that will happen all the time. Your robot really need to be able to handle these things. So let us just delete these Excel data here, just this one here, so we can run the robot again. First of all, we're going to check if we can start scraping. And how do we know that? Let me just copy out a VAT number. We actually here. So I want to first start scraping the first one. When I am on this page, I can check, is there a CVR number? Then I know I am in the correct page, because that one is not on the front page. So how do I do that? Well, I just go here. And now it's nice to have a nice structure here. You could argue that you want to rename these right cells so you're telling a bit about what's going on. So you can call this, I will do it with the first one, then you can do it back home with the next one. So here I can just say right cell, postal code, like this. This is just to document your code well. So now I can see what's going on. And if I set city here and log here, then it will be much, much easier to do. So successful A. Sullivan skills, he had to Google it as well. So yeah, but I think your English is a bit better than mine. But thank you, A. Sullivan. I believe we wrote it right. Yeah, we did. So now we're just saying, where do I want to check? Let us move a little bit up, because what's happening here? So what we're doing here, we clicked English here, and then we did the search. But before we start scraping, then let us be 100% sure that we are on the right page. Because here, imagine that on the front page or some other page, we have this title, then we will start scraping different wrong data. So we will be having a check app state after this type into enter. So I'll have it here, plus, or I can drag it in from out here. So let me have a check app state here and have it here. So now I'm indicating this CVR number here. I could also make it much more dynamic and use the number instead, and then we'll have to do it a bit more advanced, but this is fine for now. I'll gladly show you to that. So now I'm looking for this CVR number. If that appears, it will be, then we will continue. So in the target appears, we will not do anything. But if it doesn't appear within 5 seconds, something is wrong. We could, if the web page is slow, we could widen that to 10 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever we want. For now, it's fine with 5 seconds. So what do I want to do? I want to write an error message in the log column, and I also want to continue to the next iteration, because I don't have any data to scrape. The target didn't appear, so I can move on. So what I'll do here is that I'll drag in the right cell. What do I want to write? Well, right now, the data page couldn't be loaded, so we can write that in, the data page. And we will create 2 different exceptions in a few seconds. So the data page couldn't be loaded. That's it. Where do I want to write it? I want to write it into, I'm referencing to the company. That was the name we gave it again. Then we'll say by field, that is the column header. And in parentheses and quotation marks, I'll say log. So now I'll say, if this page doesn't show up, then we'll do these error handling. But I also need to know, because imagine that we are writing this. If I'm not doing anything here, then we will try to get the company name. Our robot will fail because we're not on the correct page. So I want the robot to stop here and continue with the next iteration. That is the next CVR number in our Excel sheet. So I'll be finding a continue. Continue, just take the next iteration in our for each, and then we'll move on. So it will stop here. It will go on, let me scroll a little bit up, to the next iteration in our Excel sheet. So now we're sure we are on the correct page. Let us create 2 errors in our Excel sheet, because, let me move back here. Let me just close some of these windows here. Let me move to the front page, because let's search for 8. We have 169 results. So here, there's clearly a number that's not correct. It will give us multiple results and not really something we can scrape, because what do I want to scrape here? So we have, if this comes up, we will have multiple companies, but we also can have like this. If we found 0 results, looks like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that is not a valid number, then we will be having this, we found 0 results. Sorry, my brain was just, my brain froze a bit. That is with these labels, you're always on. So I really hope that you are getting a lot out of this. So now for the error handling, we will have another check app state. So let me just, so here I know that we're not in this CVR page. That means that we could actually, we could have multiple results. So now we're going to look, is this because the CVR number doesn't exist? That is if we have 0 results. So we will have another check app state in here. I'll just be putting it in here. So now I will look for this, we found 0 results, like this, and then we'll click confirm. Because now I know that we have 0 results, and I can write a describing log message. So I'll be having it in here. What do I want to write? I'll say 0. I can write literally what's going on, but if your the business side wants a more specific description, then you can just write it in here. So I'll say 0 results corresponding to the CVR. Where do I want to write it? I want to write it again in the company by field log. So I'll just do this. And now I know that, so now I'm looking for, if I'm not getting into the data page, then I'm looking for, is this because we have 0 results? Yes. Then we will have the 0 results corresponding to the CVR. We could make this a bit more elegant, for example, with a switch, but we are fine for now. And then I'll just catch all other errors right over here, and make sure that your continue is in the end outside this second check app state. Because let me just repeat, and now our automation is done. So what's happening here is that we look for the CVR number. If that doesn't exist, then we'll go here, and then we'll say, look for 0 results. If that's the case, just write 0 results corresponding to the CVR here. Or if we move over here, we'll say the page couldn't be loaded, and then we will have our log message. And then for each one of these exceptions, we want to continue to the next transaction, that is the next row in our Excel sheet. So we are all done here. If we have done it right, we haven't tested it while we build in like 30 minutes. So let's start by, and I think we will just be running it 5 times, and if this works, fine. And then I will answer some questions, and let's just see that it actually works. It's a bit of a sweat here, so I think I will actually take this Discord shirt out again. I just got Discord partner today, and we got some nice merch, but it was quite hard to wear it. So let's stop the robot. Let's just, I'm not sure in what row we put in our arrows, so maybe that was too early, but bad luck. Let's just see if we haven't, this works, but we haven't created any arrows. So let me just create these arrows right in the beginning. So I'll have what was it called? We said 8. Let me delete these scrape data. So now we created an arrow here, and let me just create one more quickly. That one will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me make sure I save. So now we have 2 arrows. Let's see if our robot is able to handle that. Oh, now I minimized it. So let me just do this just to close down some some windows. Doesn't have any conflict on our robot. So I'll be running the robot. So we are running it. Now we're doing the searches again, but we'll see that we have created 2 errors. Here is the 8. This one, our robot should be able to handle, saying that we have a general error. We could be more specific if we wanted. I'll leave that to you, or give me the question. So now we'll start taking the next transaction, and soon our second error will come. This one will be different because now we'll say we found 0 results. Our robot should log that as well, so we have different log messages. That's it. Let's just take this one and stop the robot. Here. Let's stop the robot. Let's inspect the data. It's a bit of a sweat. Does this work, or does it not work? It works. And it looks weird, but here we have a successful one. This one here, that was our first error. So here we say the data page couldn't be loaded. We knew that because that was the multiple ones. Then we have this coup bank, successful, fine. And here we have our second error. And remember, we actually created a different log message because this one we have 0 results to, and now our robot wrote that exact log message, and then we continue to a successful. So now we can run our robot, see that everything works, and we have built a robot using the Excel modern activities. We read the Excel sheet with the modern activities. We scraped the data, we wrote it back to Excel, we created exceptions that were actually able to handle whatever comes up. We only created 3 ones, but it could be more. And let's just run the robot and see that it works. So I'll be saving this, I'll log out. And let me know what you think of these live builds. I know they're a little bit more unstructured because I cannot cut O's or small errors out, but you'll see how stressful it can be to work, and not stressful really, but how we make mistakes. And sometimes I even forgot to do something, and then we'll go back. We did it twice today, so that's fine. Let me know, please let me know in the chat what you think of these, and if you want me to make more, I'll gladly do it. But now I will be running it. I will oh, it's over here. I'll just be dragging it and hoping everything is okay. So now we are running through each one of our transaction. Hopefully we will see that we're able to scrape the correct data. It doesn't look like I get any questions in the chat. I don't dare to move away. Sometimes in the streaming software, it's a bit of delay. So, A. Sullivan, your message was the last one. Please let me know, anyone, if you have anything more to add. We will be doing these lookups and see that we can actually finish our robot. So lookup. So what's new here? Well, actually, I can share with you, I can share the economy of the finances of my company. Stine, my wife, and I, we quit our jobs to do these things full time, to do courses. Free ones on YouTube, and then this works actually as PR. So companies sees these videos and wants to get help with either UiPath or Power Automate robots, or they just want a course for their employees, and we take money for that and earn money. So you actually, just by watching this and giving the video a thumbs up, you're really helping me a lot. We can do a living on this, and actually we start to earn money enough so we can support. We cannot do it all yet. We are still earning less than we did as employees, but we are having the time of our life, and we are actually being able to earn a substantial amount of money. We just broke the goal for the year, and continuing to have a nice time. We have more time for our son. Anyway, I think we are finished soon, and let me just we're having 30 transactions. We will just see that this actually works with the error handling and everything. I'm not sure what number we went on, so I can just sit here and ramble. I really hope that you actually enjoying this. So that wasn't the last one. That's it. So we stopped it here. Let's just go to the companies, and here you can see that we completed the challenge. So That was a scrap. We scraped all the names, the addresses, the postal codes, and the city. We did a little bit of string manipulation. That's nice to know. And we did proper error handling over here in the log column. You can see that we get specific error messages, whether or not we're having a certain error or not. So that's it for today. Thanks a lot to anyone joining. I'm just going to check if just on YouTube directly. Sometimes this one misses some chat messages, so I will just be logging in to YouTube and see I'm not missing any comment or question. To you out there, you're really, really, really helping me a lot. And now it is a bit lag. So hopefully this session is fine. I cannot really get in now, so I don't hope I missed anything. If I did, let me know. Let me just try to, so this one here, I can just minimize this. Here, I will just be going to the video. It got up here. I'll just be going to the video to make sure that I didn't accidentally, no, I didn't miss any comment at all. As always, I'm so glad that you watched this video. If you want to help me, you don't have to send me money or anything. You can just give the video a thumbs up, leave a comment below or in the chat. That one will help my channel to grow a lot. So for now, see you and thanks.